Hello, my duckies. It's been a while, hasn't it? I've been working on a, I don't want to say big project, a small project. Smells good sometimes. Smells really good. It's a follow-up to my last Genshin video that caused a bit of a stir. I've decided to have some fun with the next video that's going to be a follow-up to that one. Even hired a voice actor. You guys want a preview? Here's a small little preview.
In the end, there was no voice, no command, no divine will. Only the sound of countless people convincing themselves they weren't alone.
That's it. Anyway, timing's a bit rough for the future, man. We have a lot to go over this patch for Star Rail, and then Genshin patch in a week, and then like 2 or 3 weeks after that, it's back to Star Rail. Whiplash, man. Breaking my gosh darn neck out here. So, time's a waste, and let's get started. Ashveil seemingly has the power of veracity in his arm. Why? The Trailblazer once again has been referred to as Akavili. Why? The voice in the abyss that looks a lot like veracity and resonates with Ashveil's arm is familiar to him. Why? There's an extremely strong power of abundance on Planarcadia. What is it? And why? The Eon Yao Shur seemingly made Evanescia. Why? The Planar Elkwood is in truth an ambrosial arbor. Why? Aha, the Eon revealed whoever wins the Phantom Moon game this year will become the new permanent Eon of Elation. Why? The Lord Ravager Asat Prammad has yet to make his move. Why? I love giraffes. Man, the story starts with Kuchiba doing voodoo on March to ensure there's no remaining ill effects of Sparksy's mimetic virus left on her. Kuchiba then tells us Scott is dead. Pour one out for Monica Scott, man. They still don't know who, did that Sinwish Syndicate massacre, but, they suspect the killings are connected with the Phantom Moon games. Kuchiba leaves, and we text Mr. Yang, who asks us to come meet with him and explain what happened between Himeko and her father. So we meet up with Big Bro and explain what happened. We finally learn why Rysuke questioned who was standing before him, as he said Himeko is dead, and the answer is, he's a fucking clown, along with his clown daughter. Interesting bait and switch this scene was. They hyped it up as something, oh my god, and then it was just a whole lot of nothing. I should probably be upset, but I don't really care, man. I live and forget. I don't think that's how the saying goes. It turns out the gravestone he saw was just Himeko planting one out, because I don't know, some stupid saying about who knows if tomorrow will come. Ryusuke asks if we are Himeko's child, and we say yes, but Himeko steers the conversation back in the right direction. She's none too pleased with her father, who was absent most of her life. Turns out the first time they met was at Himeko's mother's funeral, which, yeah, man, that's pretty bad. And interestingly, Himeko questions where he was while she was dealing with the Weathering Curse. Ryusuke was going to ask Himeko how she overcame the Weathering Curse, but before he can, Himeko storms off, leaving us with the old man alone. He asks if we know Himeko's surname. I wonder if we'll find it out later. We ask what the Weathering Curse is, and he tells us it all started with Himeko's ancestor Graphia, a legendary painter who once sealed the entire world in a painting. Apparently, in order to do this, she exchanged her own life and that of all her descendants, which gave rise to the Weathering Curse, which manifests by killing those off while they're young. Few make it past 30 in this family. Ryusuke married into the family, which is why he doesn't have the curse. Apparently, Himeko was once battling the curse ferociously as a kid, but no longer is. Ryusuke then asks us to give him a tour of the Express, and we say yes, so we do. He immediately asks how much money Himeko makes. That's a real Japanese question right there, man. Before asking what else she does, Himeko then shows up and takes her father to grab drinks at the bar and tells us to tag along. They talk about next to nothing before Himeko confirms the last Phantom Moon games are why she was able to overcome the Weathering Curse. We then talk about the Herald of Death copycat and how defeating this supplicant would provide an excellent opportunity to raise our clout on this planet. Dad then leaves and Welt tells us Pearl has invited us to a meeting at her Megacorp's headquarters. Apparently she's the CEO of a massive entertainment conglomerate's pearlux. We dilly-dally before the meeting and run into Ashveil talking to a dude from the Happy Smiles cult who sounded very sad when he learned Ashveil's friend was dead.
Your friend passed away? How terribly sad! But the words he left you have illuminated your path in life.
We then pop up and, Smiley leaves. Ashveil says we interrupted this investigation. He thinks the Smiley cult is connected to the copycat Herald of Death. Ashveil is set on killing this copycat Herald of Death because they killed his friend Costide. March then shows up with the last copy of Fluffy Across the Blue, which is just a comic series based on the Astral Express's stories thus far, and it's immensely popular on this world. Ashveil cops it off March to place on Costide's tombstone or something. We sign it as a result, and he heads off. Our ride is here, and Ashveil circles right back because he too has a meeting with Pearl. We pull up to the Megacorp and roam around before the meeting. We get a tour of the place from Nihilux, a IPC employee working under Pearl. We run into this guy while going on the tour who's a fan of ours. Turns out he's an actor on this world, and he plays 1/4 of the Power Rangers. We spar him and the other Power Ranger brethren in mecha suits, and we win, take a picture with them, and, the fruit cups then leave. It's time to meet Pearl, so, some of her goons go fetch us to give us, a tour, but when we say, wait a second, Nihilux already gave us a tour, they have no idea who that is. It's then we go to meet Pearl.
Pearl demonstrated the full process of creating a Mechatron army, based on what I saw.
Pearl asks why we joined the games. A flashback shows a conversation with Himeko in which we tell her if we win, we're going to ask Aha to head the Anti-Destruction Alliance. Pearl says that she too is a supplicant and wants us to work with her, stating she has 2 other allied supplicants, the others being Ashveil and probably Silverwolf, given she gave Silverwolf her mask. Pearl then reveals, should she win, she wants the secrets of Imagenesis, which is the ability to create your own pocket realms, or, something along the lines of that. Pearl's birth as a machine originated from art, so she's always been into arts, but has never fully been able to understand the legendary artist Graphia, so she wants to do so with 1 minute to become an Eon, and that's what you want to do, huh? Pearl then shifts gears and asks if we can help her identify the 2 remaining mystery supplicants. To do this, pearlux will host an expo for the Express called Star Rail Fest. This will, for some reason, lure the 2 hiding supplicants. I don't, the thought train doesn't really follow. Before this, however, Pearl asks us to visit the anonymous author behind Fluffy Across the Blue. She gives us a chip, and we leave, and Ashveil comes out of hiding. Pearl tells Ashveil to protect the Express during the expo, as something might happen. Who knows what? Ashveil then reveals something odd. He did a bit of digging and uncovered after the last Herald of Death incident, the victims' families received massive amounts of money from the IPC. Pearl then tries offering Ashveil huge amounts of money herself to get him to shut the fuck up. The figure winds up at 1 billion credits, but Ashveil still demands answers instead of zeros. Pearl then reveals the original Herald of Death was a man named Marcus Antali, and he was a member of the Intelligentsia Guild, which is why the IPC then threw money to sweep this under the rug, because the Herald of Death was one of their own. Pearl then gives Ashveil the old Biden preemptive part. Over with Ashveil and Kuchiba, they conclude whoever the copycat Herald of Death is was either an officer or a victim of the killer, given they managed to recreate the crime scene with details never released to the public. Apparently, the Happy Smiles cult was formed by the victims of the Herald of Death. The current head of the group is a lady named Full Wish, a survivor of the Graphia Academy massacre. She's now the privileged head of Full Wish TV. She's got the money. She's got the money. We talk with some of the members of the cult, and they are batshit.
Isn't that amazing? Oh, I kind of want to see someone slice me open too. It should be fun.
Full Wish then shows up and, gives her I Have a Dream speech, and after, Ashveil and Kuchiba, ask her some questions, and Full Wish turns it into a spectacle, and the Smiley cult begins, smiling.
What's going on? There's something very wrong about this woman.
Yes, as long as we're happy enough, there's nothing to fear. We won't die. Happiness, Happiness is our weapon. Happiness will destroy the Herald of Death. Happiness will save this world. Operation Spread Happiness.
Ashveil and Kuchi believe and agree Fool wishes extremely odd and also new details about the case she shouldn't have known. Ashveil wonders if she's a supplicant in disguise. The two then meet up with a Power Ranger who apparently is also in the Smiley Cult. We try to get some answers out of him, but he won't budge. Other Smiley Cult members show up, so we fight. Ashveil asks the Power Ranger why the people he just fought felt no pain and smiled through Ashveil's punches. Apparently, they went through a happiness surgery that erased all their pain and suffering. The Grey Power Ranger has yet to receive the surgery, hence why, you know, he felt everything. Back with Kuchiba, Ashveil theorizes Foolish will probably attack the Star Rail Fest. Over to Dan Heng, he's found Blade and Silverwolf, informs Blade of Yao Guang's prophecy and states the Xianzhou is worried the Emanator of Abundant Shuhu is trying to use Blade's undying body to resurrect himself. Silverwolf offers the boys slushies. Dan Heng asks Blade what his script is, and Blade simply says, this trip is connected to death. Blade then says ever since he stepped foot onto this world, he's felt the presence of a far more dangerous abundance source, but doesn't know who or what it is. Dan Heng says he's sticking around to make sure no funny business happens with Blade. Over to Sunday and Tingyu, and they, dodge some Smiley Cult members and state Yao Guang, despite being somewhere on this world, is currently AWOL. Back to us, we gotta meet with the anonymous author behind our hit comic series.
Please come in.
It takes us a while, but we get Nihilux to agree to do a fan meet and greet at the expo. Over to Himeko and her father, they bond, and Himeko's surname appears to be Murata. We head to the expo and, get treated like royalty, do some interviews, and run into the fox.
Target confirmed. Mine's ready. Toast on rice. Evanescia
Did that guy just pass out?
We ask why she's here. We don't really get an answer, but she's a massive fan of the comics, so I guess that's why. We ask how she drew a mask, and she says the mask she drew for us is temporary, and it's fooling the Phantas Moon's eyes. Evanescia asks us to sneak her into the expo because the tickets sold out and scalpers are a bitch. We say no because scalpers' lives matter too, but Evanescia then does the manipulation.
Little raccoon, I've actually been a huge fan of yours all along. From the very first page of The Fluffy, Volume 1, Chapter 1, I was already captivated by you.
We meet up with March, and Evanescia does more manipulation.
March Bunny, I've actually been a huge fan of yours all along. From the very first page of Volume 1, Chapter 1, I was already captivated by you.
March then says something that's gonna be hilarious later on.
A little fox girl could never have any bad intentions. It's not like she's another Fantilia, right? Besides, this place doesn't even have any Stellaron or Ambrosial Arbor.
Not so fast. We head into the expo, being hosted by wanted criminal Sparksy. The expo sees us relive our greatest hits, at least as they're told in the comics, which remembers history a little different than how it actually happened. We then head to the Xianzhou exhibit, but a pipe bursts, so it's flooded. Evanescia asks us to turn into Moses and just part the seas, but when we remind her Dan Heng is the one with the power to do that, she starts the manipulation ritual.
Wolf of Dawn, I've actually been a huge fan of yours all along. From the very first page of Volume 1, Chapter 1, I was already captivated by you. Who on earth did this kid learn to ask favors like that from?
We go to fix the pipe, and it's then the Power Rangers show up and reveal they are supplicants, and as supplicants are challenging us right here and now. We win, and they just run off. Outside, we begin talking about the Xianzhou with Evanescia, who begins speaking a little too highly of the abundance near the Xianzhou niggas.
I don't think the abundance is as terrifying as their reputation suggests.
I wonder if there's a reason for that. We prep to head to Penacony, and Evanescia does the manipulation.
Such reassuring words. Little raccoon, I've actually been a huge fan of yours all along.
All right. Don't push it.
We then meet with Himeko, and something strange happens. Evanescia says it's nice to meet Himeko again, but Himeko asks if they've ever met, and Evanescia corrects herself and says she's seen Himeko on TV. We then reveal to everyone Evanescia drew our mask. Himeko clocks Evanescia is the girl we saw in the Phantom Moon courtyard. We ask Evanescia who she really is, and she says she's just a spectator with a special role. Evanescia says it's now time they part ways, given her identity has been exposed. She pieces out, and Himeko says the ability to let others become supplicants. Evanescia is no normal girl. We then head to Penacony, and our friend Sparksy calls us to tell us we are getting lit up online right now. Our fight with the Power Rangers and words during interviews were maliciously edited to make us look like harbingers of doom. Ashveil and Kuchiba then appear to keep us safe, as they said their investigation has led them to the Power Rangers being the prime suspect behind the Sinwish Syndicate massacre, who are all members of the Smiley cult, as fate would have it, and all of them except the Grey Power Ranger had their Smiley surgery. This is all being led behind the scenes by Foolwish, who's the mastermind. We then meet the Power Rangers further ahead, and they question where the Express was 15 years ago when the Herald of Death was attacking them. The answer would be non-existent. The Express wasn't a thing yet until after the Herald of Death attacks, because Himeko was the one who got the whole thing up and running again, but I mean, go off regardless. One spectator, sounds like me during power scaling videos.
Quit yapping! Tear them to shreds! Beat them to a pulp! I want a bloodbath!
The Fruit Cups are just about ready to fight us, but they're now going to use a mecha pom-pom.
Happy! So happy!
Happiness! The Express is about to warp happily! Cleanup initiated! Eliminate! Everyone will be happy! Everyone will be happy.
I offer my blood to consume this vendetta. I offer my heart to shoot down this injustice. I, lead Hunter La Mancha, call upon you in the name of the Star Hunt Oath. O Skybow, gaze upon this broken-legged wolf and steer my hunt toward victory!
So happy. Now arriving at Terminal Station, land of sneering gods. Welcome back into the gods' embrace.
Shh. Quiet now. It's time for bed.
We have no idea where we are. Himeko says we're somewhere underground, or maybe in the world in canvas painting made by Graphia. Over with Ashveil and the Power Rangers, Ashveil's shadow eats the three responsible for killing the Sinwish Syndicate by replicating the Herald of Death. We ask Ashveil if he knows Boot Hill and Rappa. He says, only a name. He retired long ago, so he doesn't know the new bloods. He asks us not to use his name La Mancha, though. He prefers to stay in hiding. Ashveil asks us to take out the chip Pearl gave to us earlier, which is actually a tracking device. It's then we hear someone call out to us from the void as Akavili. The voice beckons us, and we have no choice but to go to the voice, and it becomes named Ego, and speaks of happiness, and we find the other trailblazer's silhouette hanging around us. The voice then manifests as us, and it speaks of primordial joy, and just as we're about to join them, Ashveil stops us and says whatever lives down here is really familiar to him. Funny, to me it looks like the veracity, but what do I know?
Into brocade, breathe soul into painted stones. Let the jewels of heaven rise as they will. All for the Amber Lord.
Pearl then reveals the place we were is called the Torn Scroll. When Planarcadia returned from reality, from the painting, it peeled from the scroll itself, and these spaces rip at reality and the worlds in canvas. When we fought the Power Rangers, something in the Torn Scroll reacted, and Pearl still doesn't know what, so she had to use her cornerstone. Reminder, folks, that's a sliver of diamond, emanator of preservation's power. And, she did this to fix reality and bring us back. Pearl then recaps, the whole Herald of Death shit a lot better than I can, because, I don't know, her voice sounds nicer, so here you go.
As a survivor of the tragedy of the blood-stained games, Full Wish founded the Research Society of Happy Smiles, charity organization. The organization has since been providing an unapproved medical treatment named happiness surgery to its members, which neutralizes their physiological capacity to feel pain. The procedure drew many more followers as a result. And the Daybreak Squadron, members of the Smile Society, imitated the Herald of Death's modus operandi for their crimes, and challenged the Astral Express during the exhibition. From the aforementioned facts, the predicted probability of Full Wish being the mastermind is 92%.
Ashveil then reveals that somehow all 3 Power Rangers were supplicants. Himeko says that's impossible, but Ashveil said his shadow revealed to him all 3 wore the mask. Even more troubling, Ashveil says after devouring them, he tasted the abundance. Pearl deduces the happy surgery the members undergo must be a transformation done using the powers of the abundance. As a result, Pearl says Full Wish must be working with someone else. We all leave, and in private, Ashveil says his shadow resonates with the scroll, which is interesting given the shadow he has is eerily reminiscent of the veracity, which embodies the scroll, so a lot of veracity themes going on here, folks. Pearl reveals, it was I-C that helped Ashveil get his powers, and through it he not only devoured Zulo, a Lord Ravager, but also the Swarm, and Shuhu, the Emanator of Abundance. Pearl says if she wins the Phantom Moon Games, she'll give La Mancha what he truly wants, which is death. Ashveil runs into Silver Wolf on the way back to his cryo sleep chamber, and they are both expert negotiators.
I came prepared, but I could use a helping hand.
30 million credits. Pay or die.
Come on, give your friend a discount, will ya? Say 0 credits?
I ain't your friend.
I meant him.
It's been a while, Yingxing.
It's been too long, Mr. La Mancha.
Yao Guang is over at the Phantom Moon courtyard and calls out to the girl hiding here. Evanescia isn't interested in coming out, but then Yao Guang reveals she knows the tree here is an ambrosial arbor tree, which for those unaware is just a mark of the abundance. Caused a lot of trouble on the Xianzhou, so you know how these Xianzhou niggas will get when they start seeing these ambrosial arbor trees, man. Evanescia then pops out, dismaying at the fact that too many fucking people have visited the courtyard recently. Evanescia says Yao Guang has 3 questions, and then she will leave. Yao asks what species Nessia belongs to. She tries divining her fate, but gets nothing. Evanescia says she is an arbitrator who determines the outcome of the Phantom Moon Games. She then says her true form is that of the Penarch Elwood, which is the ambrosial arbor tree, folks, indicating she's some relation to the abundance. She then says the one who created her, before supposing that statement with they indicating an eon created her. If her relation is, to that of the abundance, that would mean that Yao sure made Evanescia, explaining her weird love for the abundance, I guess. Yao Guang seemingly confirms this by straight up calling Evanescia an abomination of the abundance. Yao asks Evanescia to explain the fate of this world's residents before warning her if she doesn't like the answer, she's summoning a Lux arrow from the Eon Lawn, which could annihilate this world. We don't get to hear the answer, but we do get to hear an Eon right at the end for the first time ever.
Now that everyone
has made
their appearance,
no need
to keep further secrets,
what began
as a spark
must grow
into wildfire,
as an extra one of these
Phantom Moon Games
shall receive all
of my authority more than a thin minute
to become
the true permanent
Eon of elation. As such,
it's time to
revel in unabated joy.